Hey guys, welcome back to Buff's Vintage Bikes and another refurbishment video of a classic Colnago Conic SLX spiral. We don't get to see many of these in South Africa, and it's very unique with that crimped down tube. So, Conic comes in with the shape of that down tube. It goes from 32 mils at the BB and it tapers down to 28.2 mils at the top at the head tube, giving it that unique conic shape. The SLX obviously refers to the Columbus SLX tubing used on the frame, and I will assume that the spiral is referring to the rifling that's on the inside of the seat tube on these SLX frames. The purpose of all this was to improve lateral stiffness on the frame, so that the bike climbed and sprinted better. As you can see, the frame is in poor condition. There's a lot of bubbling under the paint, indicating rust. There's a dent in this chainstay, and a lot of pitting on the chrome in the chainstay as well, where rust has eaten away at it over the years. Unfortunately, I won't be able to have this re-chromed in this condition. So rather than chrome it, I'm going to use a filler on it and spray the bike, and then make a plan to put an artificial chrome, possibly a decal, over it at a later stage. Finding info on these frames has proven difficult on the interwebs, but I'll do my best to refurbish it as close to original as possible. So stick around with me as I try to do justice to this Italian classic and get it looking like it did the day it rolled off the production floor. The first challenge on this bike is sorting out these two head tube lugs. They've been badly scratched by the previous person who painted this bike, and I somehow need to get those scratches out of it. So I think I'm going to start by putting this onto the buffing wheel, and I'll try to get rid of those scratches using a compound without burning into that chrome. Let's see how good we can get it looking again. So after some time on the wheel, those lugs are looking a whole lot better. I was thankfully able to get rid of a lot of the scratches, although there's still a few imperfections on it. But I think once it's painted, you're not going to notice those. I was scared of burning through it, so I didn't want to spend too much time on it. So now I'll mask those lugs off and send the frame off for blasting. Okay, this is the frame back from blasting with oxide. So now I'm going through the whole frame with this Scotch-Brite pad. I'm giving it a good scuff up to remove any of the oxide, the aluminum or aluminium oxide. You can see there's the dent I spoke about earlier and the pitting in this chainstay. So this all has to get filled up after I've cleaned it. So as I'm rubbing it down now with the Scotch-Brite pad, I'm looking at all the places that might need possible filling. Here's the two lugs, the two top lugs that I masked off so that the chrome stayed. You can see the cable guide needs some filling in there as well. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this to focus. You can see one or two spots here as well, which are a bit deeper than was on my Moser. I'm going to fill those, and you can see quite a lot of pitting at this junction of the top tube and the seat tube. Some at the top as well. So let's get filling. I know some guys use pieces of plastic or credit cards and stuff like that as scrapers when doing filling, but I find these little artist palette knives work quite well. They're fairly inexpensive as well. They get the job done. So after I've sanded down the filler on all the lugs where I've got some filler, I'm just taking a really fine needle file and I'm going through the shorelines on the lugs just to clean them up. I don't want filler lying there that when I spray it, the lug is going to be smoothed out. I want to see the definition on the lug. So on each sort of lug, go through it now, just to get it nice and clean. Right, time to lay some primer down on this Colnago frame. Okay, that's the first coat of primer laid on now. That's an etch primer. I'm going to give that time to cure, and then I'm going to lay on a 2K primer over the top of that. You can see it's busy drying at the moment. So this is the 2K primer now, mixing it at a 4:1 ratio. So 4 parts paint, 1 part hardener and a bit of thinners. .800 grit wet paper. Sand it down until you're happy with the finish, nice and smooth. Then we can lay some base coat on it. So this is the white base coat. Frame's going to get 2 layers of white base. That's going to get buried in 2 layers of clear. Then I'm going to airbrush the pink into it, add the decals to the frame, and then I'm going to bury that in another 2 layers of clear coat and polish that up. Onto the less glamorous part of frame painting. 800 grit wet paper, give it a dip and get sanding. Get the whole frame down to that matte finish so we can lay some pink on it. Time to add the paint to the engravings in the frame. I use rubbing alcohol on an earbud just to make sure that I get all those engravings clean, especially after sanding the frame down, because you're going to have dust that collects in those engravings. Clean them as best as possible so you have a nice surface for that paint to bind to. And then I thin down modeling enamel that I use. You want that paint at the correct consistency for the Kemper pen, because if it's too thick it won't come out the pen, and if it's too thin it tends to blob the paint. Normally I have a sacrificial frame which I keep in the garage, and I do all my practicing on this frame, normally an old bent one. Better to do that before you get onto your actual project, although it's quite easy to wipe it off because I've already laid down a layer of clear coat over here which I've sanded back. So for these lines on the top tube, I've been racking my brain out to get this right, so I decided to do a mask on my vinyl cutter. So to measure the circumference of the top tube and then design this mask. So trying my best to stick it down straight on the top tube. We'll spray between the lines. So just cleaning the tubes down with benzene. And here you can see the masking that I put on this top tube. So I'm going to try and airbrush between these lines now. And once I'm happy with that, I'll pull the masking off, and then I'll do the airbrushing of the pink onto the front parts of the top tube and the down tube. But first up, get these tubes cleaned. So this is the pinky plummy type color, a pot of purple in it that's going onto the frame to match the Shamals that he's going to be adding to the frame as well, to the group set. Finally, on to putting the stickers on the frame. Yeah, I was doing it in my bra room because we had blackouts in the country. I couldn't see without electricity in my garage. And then it was time to bury everything in a layer of clear coat. Actually, 2 layers of clear coat. So it was to set that pink in and set those stickers in. And then it was cleaning up all the little chrome bits on the frame. I never tire of this process. It's like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. The small details that count, and it really makes the frame pop lovely. And then it was on to final polishing on the frame, sanding it down. By my own admission, I actually got a bit of orange peel on my final clear coat here. I'd bought myself a new Iwata LPH 80 spray gun, and I think I got my pressures wrong. I think I was spraying at too high a pressure. Gun sprays at quite a low pressure, and I got more more orange peel than I tend to get on my work. So I spent quite a bit of time flattening this frame down and polishing it up to get it to a state that I was happy with. But that's just one of those things. I'll get it right over time, once you get used to the gun, of course. So remember those chrome chainstays that were so badly pitted that I wasn't able to do anything about? Yeah, I designed and cut a chrome vinyl sticker, and I stuck that on the frame as a replacement for that. Took a bit of time and effort to get it spot on, but it worked really well. Here's a quick look at the group set that's going to go on this bike. It's being built by its owner, Gerard. So it's a triple T stem, mated to a matching triple T handlebar. And then the bike's going to be running a 9-speed Campagnolo Record group set. Lovely Super Record seat post and a Record titanium rear derailleur, and then mated to the Shamals. And as you can see, the frame is matching the color on those Shamals as well. Once Gerard was finished with the build, he was kind enough to bring the bike around to me so I could shoot a short video just to show you how it turned out. The bike certainly is an eye-catcher with this very unique color scheme. Even amongst Gerard's impressive collection of bikes, this one tends to stand out. The combination of that 9-speed Campagnolo group set and the Shamals really complement the frame very well. Kind of makes me wish it was part of my collection. Love to know how the bike rides, but I haven't had the privilege of taking it around the block yet. Maybe Gerard will be kind enough to lend it to me. I might need some extensions on my shoes first though. This is a little bit tall for me. As far as paint jobs go, this certainly was my most challenging one to date. I underestimated how difficult those straight lines would be, both on that conic spiral down tube and on the top tube. I knew on the top tube that any deviation to that line, your eye would pick it up straight away when you're sitting on the bike. So it took some sleepless nights and a bit of head scratching to get it spot on. And I'm super pleased with how it turned out. Sometimes luck smiles on you, and I think this was one of those instances. If you guys enjoyed the video, smash that like button. Please consider subscribing to the channel. It'd be nice having you on board. And if you've got one of these old vintage or classic steel racing bikes hanging up in your garage or storeroom, let me encourage you to get that bike down, get restoring, and give it a new lease on life. These bikes honestly have so much to offer still. Just takes a little bit of time and effort, some love and care, and they will reward you with endless miles of pleasure on the road. Take care, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.